So I'm praying for you. And then obviously for hope, it's, I'm hoping everything is good. So everything is this. So hoping everything is good, staying safe. So staying.
Wait, do safe again.
So here's staying. So staying is your two thumbs touching and you push them forward, like staying. This is also for like still, that. And then safe is you can have your two S's and you're going to start them kind of cross. You're going to start them kind of cross and go safe. So they're going to have okay, let me slow down. Sorry. So it's the S's. You're going to have them facing you and then you cross them out. And that's safe. That's the same for freedom, liberty.
Why do you do cross? Why do you do the cross, pulling them apart? What's the concept of that?
So I've actually been curious about that myself a few times, because when seeing it, the first time I saw it was really for freedom. And I figured it was more breaking free of like chains of being free. And so I'm guessing if maybe that's for like, you're safe, you're not kind of held, and that's kind of how I gathered it. I'm not completely sure.
You sure it's not just the fact that it's a verb or, I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like, because sometimes when I sit there and if I actually think about an action of a sign, I'll sit there and go, that actually does make sense. I can see why it's that, even if it's not something that would be your first thought of being, oh, the word for safe, or like, for example, like the word for dog, because, you have cat, that makes sense. You can easily think cat, the whiskers, and you describe it that. And then for dog, I always figured it'd be something with like the ears or something like that.
I forgot what it was, but
it's the slap and the snap.
Oh, that's right.
And when
because it is weird, like I would think you would be like,
yeah,
that's like what I think about it.
But then when you think about it, you pat on your leg, you'd be like, come here, boy. And you're like, come here, boy, like, come here. And that's why I think it came from. It's like you're patting to get them to come. And so that's kind of how I gathered. And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. I wish there's a cuter sign for dog, because,
I do too.
I love dogs and cats, but like I totally am a little more biased towards my dogs. But that's just me. Total dog mom. Can't even hide it. But yes, so this, and it's actually interesting because I recently found this out. I thought that all the times you would say freedom, safety, liberty, independence, any of that, you would use your letters to show that. Well, then one of my coworkers who was born and raised deaf, she said, you just do this. Like, it's just, you're not like defining the letter. And it's because that's more ASL, where they're not like using the letter symbols to show what you mean. When in more like English, you would do that, but it's still accepted. She was just explaining to me that there's a difference. And I was like, I didn't know that. She was, oh yeah. And I love asking them questions. I go to them with the stupidest questions. Sometimes I'm like, what's the word for this? And they're like, oh, it's that. And I'm like, thank you. Please don't think I'm stupid. And then she's like, no, you help us with the technology. We know you're not stupid. So it's a whole working system. But so it's again kind of like how, with a room and that office, that kind of stuff. I said with the O's, I prefer the O's just to kind of show. And I think it's for me, since I was born and raised hearing, and I was not exposed to deaf culture or ASL. It doesn't just click right. If I look at them signing this, I can think, oh, that's probably office. Like, it takes me a minute to go, I'm seeing room, not office. And I'll see that a couple of times. I'll catch myself at school, not for very important things, but very conversation wise. Someone will describe something and it's not a big deal, but then I'll have to be like, oh, you mean like our groups, not our team, like not our soccer team, but like our groups. And so I've just always liked having the letters just to kind of help, it helps define it, especially for us who grew up hearing, and we in our minds think team, group, class all have different meanings. It's something I think it's something that helps us kind of connect a little bit more in understanding. So, but again, it's either way. Yes. So what I also had on for, are there any other sentences? I'm trying to remember.
I just thought since Andy we're going down that theme,
Yes.
Why not?
So I do have, I did actually have emotions were going to be what I was going to talk about tonight. And then descriptors for describing a person. So for emotions, we have happy first. And so happy is you're going happy. You're patting on your shoulders like happy. And you will have the smile. You're not going happy, like happy.
I'm happy. Yeah.
I saw one of my kids do that and I kind of looked at them and they're like, what? And I was like, are you happy or are you sad? Which is it? And they're like,
well, see, it could be sarcasm. It could be.
That's what, and I had to ask her, I was like, what are we really? And she was like, oh no, I'm happy. I'm like, okay, remember your facial expressions are showing completely different things. And she does have tendencies to show the wrong facial expression because then her friends will think she's really mad and be like, oh no, she's mad at me. And I'm like, no, she's not mad at you. She just doesn't realize her facial expressions are giving you wrong information. So I love telling her that because she's a very stubborn child. So she's like, they don't think that. I'm like, they just ask them. But anyways, that's a whole nother point. So for sad, I have sad is you basically just kind of do the tears. So like okay. Sad. Sometimes it's so funny is if when you're being that sarcastic, almost like the the little violin playing the violin. Some people go sad, sad with the face, but so sad. And then I have mad. So mad's kind of interesting. I've seen a couple of different ones. I always do this one. Is your hands kind of like this? It's kind of half open, and you go mad, mad, mad. It's almost like in my mind, I'm thinking you're about to yell, like you are angry, like it's your tone changes so much when you're angry. So I always think mad, mad, and it's with that facial expression again. Then we have scared. And so scared is you kind of bunch your shoulders up like you're actually scared. And you're going to put your hands like this and you go scared, scared.
On top.
Yeah. Right. Scared. Mm-hmm. Scared, scared. And you have, again, that facial expression. So scared. And then I have upset. Now upset, I have to kind of pull it down a little because it's weird. So upset is you start from like here and then you kind of it's almost like you're going around your chest. Upset.
Or like if you were doing the baby bump, you'd be around the baby bump. Yeah. You're doing it your chest. Okay.
And I'm so concerned. I have to be careful because I'm always scared. I'm saying I'm pregnant.
Baby bump.
When I'm saying I'm upset with you. I'm not pregnant to you. Like, no, I'm upset with you. I'm so concerned. That's such a big thing for me. Is I'm always like, okay, upset. I bring it as close as possible. Upset. You're going to know I'm not happy. So upset. And then I taught you guys nice for when I said nice to meet you, but nice. This is also the sign for clean. So like clean your room, clean your workplace. I was saying that, but clean your room. Sometimes to differentiate. I'm sorry, it's been a long day, and speech does not come to me as easily once it's after been 8 hours a day of signing. So cleaning is like kind of sometimes people will repeat like cleaning, like I'm cleaning. But you don't want to go that full this because then it almost looks like that raining money kind of deal.
Yeah, that money thing that's so hip in the hip hop world.
So yeah, oh yeah, and knowing
of which I'm a big part, of course. Anyway. But I watch a lot of videos.
So then I have for rude, I have two signs. I use rude where I have the Y and I have my thumb start up on the opposite side. So y'all's is going to be like this. And you bring it across. It's the Y, cross your chin. Yeah. So you start on the opposite, come back. Yeah. Rude. And the other one is, and I'll explain why I get a little weird with this one, is this one can get very confusing with the word also for, there's skip, and then there's naked, and then rude, and they're all around here. So I'm pretty sure, and I will double check, and if I am wrong and I'm teaching you the sign for naked, I will tell Miss Katie to please send out a warning so you're not saying you're being rude when you're saying you're being naked. So, but I'm pretty sure it's rude, and it's you have your palm open up, and you have your middle finger, and you swipe it across. Rude, rude. Or rude. It's one of these two. And I always get them confused with naked and early. And I know this is early, but sometimes it gets a little confusing. So I always use rude. That's just kind of word to the wise, you know? And then I have, so mean is a little strange because the opposite of it, if you do it the opposite wise, it becomes most. And so mean is like you have your hands like this and you're like mean, mean, mean. It's like you have your hands open and then they end in fists. Mean, mean. And it comes again with that angry face. You're being mean. Stop being mean. And then if you do this, that's most. So you go that opposite and then that. Okay. How we doing? We doing good? Am I going too fast? Especially for those, if you're writing them and I don't want to pressure you going too fast.
I'm going to go back and look at the videos and go slow. So don't worry about now.
Perfect. Okay. So then the next one I have is nervous. Nervous is pretty easy. It's just shaking your hands. And you make that kind of unsure face like, that.
Would that be the same as what I call anxious,
yes.
nervous, and anxious? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then then I have the next one is shy. Now, shy can also, if you're not careful, can mean a whole different meaning. I love some of these signs that have completely opposite. Like if you sign it slightly wrong, it can mean a total different thing. And it's always just constant. I stress easily. I'm always worried. And especially with my everyday workplace is using a different language I didn't grow up with. I'm constantly worried I'm going to do something wrong. So shy is shy. And it's, you start with your knuckles on your cheek and you just brush them up. Shy. But you don't want to go full, because if you do this, you're saying whore. So shy. I'm sorry. I have to let you guys know. I don't want any mistakes.
But I missed what the word was.
Shy. Right? Did I do it right?
Yes. Yes. So shy. Yeah. And you gotta have almost that like, I'm shy. But if you go full on, it can be name calling. So yes. And then I have embarrassed. So embarrassed is you're gonna have your hands kind of open a little and you brush them up in your face like, I'm embarrassed. And you almost kind of pull your head back. Like, you're like, whoa, that's a lot. I'm really embarrassed. So, and we have, let's see, making sure I have tired, which is one of my students' favorite signs, is you start with your hands right here and you go tired. I'm tired. I love watching them. I'll say, what's wrong? And they're like, I'm tired. And they just do this whole, like they just can't even hold themselves up anymore. It's so funny. And then I have excited. So excited is going to be your two middle fingers and you're going to be just tapping them up against your chest. And you don't go like this. You go like sporadic, that kind of, yeah. I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to go to this school. I don't know. I'm excited. And then I have honest. I'm going to give y'all a minute so I'm not speeding through while y'all are still writing. So honest is you're going to have that H and you brush it up on your palm. Honest. Like honestly, I'm not lying. I'm being truthful, like honest. And then I added, so I have three more emotions. Emotions-ish kind of, these last three aren't really emotions, but they're more tied where I think it's still important to know. So the sign for lie is you have your fingers, all four fingers bend down and you just brush them across your cheek. Lie. So it's like this, the side of your hand, you just lie. I love watching the kids. They'll just go, lie, no, lie. They get so mad. It's so funny. And then the next one I have is fake. And for the longest time, I thought those would be like the same sign. Just because, you know, you have some signs that are so, like you have some words that you would use for the same sign. But then for lie and fake, there are two different signs. And I didn't know that for a while. And I was like, wow, I'm glad to know. So this is lie, fake. So you do the same thing, but with one finger. Fake, fake. So like that's fake, you know, that's fake fur, fake leather. That story was fake, that. And then my last one to go opposite of fake is real. So real, and this is also the sign for serious, like seriously that happened, you know, is real, real, real. And this is like the sign for truth, you know, because you have real and truth. Those are like, they have the same, I'm telling, like, you know, but then lie and fake aren't. But I'm not one to judge ASL. I'm just one to learn it and use it. So fake, truth, lie. And then let's go back to the beginning, start again. And then after we do a review, we will move on to descriptions. Descriptions are super easy. And that's all I have after that. Because I want to give you guys that time to really get to practice. And I was going to maybe help try to use some in sentences to kind of give you guys some more visual practicing. So for emotions, I have happy, happy, then sad, mad, mad, scared, scared. And this is also for like scary movie, scary house. That's kind of what you use for anything that has the word scare in it. That's what you use. Then upset. And again, you're not gonna be like, I'm upset with you. Like, I'm upset. Like, I'm, you know, it's again the facial expression. Then we have nice. And then the added clean. Then rude. Then mean. Let me slow down again. Both hands open in the process of closing when they get to each other. So by the time they get to each other, they're closed. Mean. Mm-hmm. Then we have nervous. Ooh. Then shy. All I can think about is me saying telling you the other one. I'm sorry. Shy. Then we have embarrassed. Tired. And it's got, yes, that's exactly. It's got that shoulder slouching. I'm sorry, my laptop keeps shaking, but tired, like you're really showing that you're tired. Then I have, where'd I go? Excited. Honest. Lie. Oh wait, no. Sorry, I didn't flip. Lie. Lie. Sorry, I'm looking at it. I looked at lie, but said sign fake. So lie, and then fake. Then real. Now, before I move on to descriptors, are there any other emotional signs that you can think of or curious about? I'm happy to either give the sign or look it up later. So,
is there a cranky or grumpy or?
I always end up saying, you look mad. Did you sleep good? Like, I just kind of do the sleep good. There probably is, and I can check on that and see. And I'll come back. Let me put that down real quick. Check for grumpy. Because I feel like some people are like, they'll kind of, when they see someone mad and they'll be like, if it's not like I'm mad, but like I'm tired, they'll be like, what's wrong? You know, they kind of pull their eye, showing the eyebrows, like your eyebrows are down. What's wrong? Very, very much facial expressions are a big deal, which is why I think it is very hard having those masks on in the classroom, is because I cannot read half of my kids' facial expressions. And I have a very dramatic student who is also the stubborn one. And so I have to sit there and I have to really look at her face and be like, are you actually mad right now? Or are you just giving me those eyebrows? Because you give me those eyebrows.
That's the first time I thought about what you do with COVID and the mask. I never even thought about that. That is amazing.
And with the virtual, it worked where we didn't have the masks, but we were on virtual. So I was like, every time we're going to have something is not going to be going as great as it should. So, but yes, I'm still happy. I still love my job, still love my kids. So this year didn't totally wear me out as a teacher. That's all I think about, is how so many teachers will say that if you can survive your first year, especially with COVID, you can make it as a teacher. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Because there are moments where I'm like, I don't know if I'm making it. So, but yes, all righty. So now on to descriptors. So what you would do for short and tall is what you would typically think. Short, tall. And a lot of times when you're doing tall, if it's like a really tall person, like a 6'7" person, is you tend to kind of be like tall, like you almost kind of lean up like, oh my goodness, this person is tall. And then, you know, for short, you're just like short, and you kind of almost give them that look of like short, you see? So it kind of helps them to see, oh, you really mean this level. Then we have young. So young is young. Oh goodness, now I'm questioning myself. Young, and it's your hands kind of been young. You can always just say the age, or is like a kid. Oh, kid. Kid is this, like you're doing a llama, and you put them in front of your finger. So kid, kid, kid. You can kind of describe they look like a child, and if you as in they are an actual child. And then for old, I love this sign because my kids do it. It's funny. Is you do the sign for age, which is, I'm sorry, my Siri keeps trying to keep thinking I'm talking to her, and I'm like, I'm not talking to you. Leave me alone. I'm gonna turn her off because I've already got everything. So the sign for age, and so for old, you would go old. It's almost like you're doing that, like, you know, Dumbledore's beard. It's just long. You're just like old. And some kids will just go old, and it's like their faces are coming in like old, and it is the funniest thing I've seen. So I love watching them when they were talking about someone being old. Unfortunately, they talk about me being old, and I'm like, I'm not even that old. So it's always great. It's always great being with kids. They are so honest, and they just don't care. So if you're describing someone's hair color, you would just kind of grab like hair, and you would pick one of the colors like brown or, you know, red. If they're blue, you would use that. Now blonde, instead of using yellow, you can use yellow, but people use the Y and they'll put it on the hair for blonde. It's the Y on the hair, blonde. So that's what they do. I still feel even if you did yellow, most people would understand or be like, oh, you mean blonde? And they'll be like, yeah. That's what I love about finger spelling. Is it always
lately with everybody dyeing their hair pink and orange and purple, you never know, they might mean yellow.
That is also true. That is also very true. Oh, and for if you know you're really wanting to get specifics on, because you do the same for eyes, like you would point to the eye and be what the color. If there's anything that's like a dark blue, like if their hair's like a dark blue, you would do dark blue or light blue. So it's again those help to really show, okay, that's what I'm looking for, and it's really helpful knowing, especially if you're trying to describe someone. Okay, so for skinny and chunky, you know, big size, plus size, I will say this, in ASL, they are blunt. They are not going to be, they're not going to use the flower language I just used. They're not going to be like, oh, she's just a little chunky, or she's just a little plus size. They will not say that. They're going to be like, she's fat. And I hate to say it, but they will go, she's big. And big. Is you start with like your fingers almost in the, like this, and then you go big. And again, it's like your eyes kind of go big. And that, they don't think it's a rude, like for us, if you say, oh, she's fat, that's rude, that's insulting. In ASL, it's not. It's just, that's their way of describing a person, is their size. And then for like, just kind of normal, you just kind of do that. For skinny is you're going to have your pinkies. You're going to stand them on top of each other and you're going to go skinny. And you almost kind of purse your lips a little, like together, like you're skinny, like that's how I describe my sister to everybody. It's my sister, has no fat on her, and I'm totally jealous. Won't deny. So skinny. So this one's a fun one. For the sign for bald, is you have your middle finger and you go in a spiral on top of your head for bald. My kids love this one. If they run into anybody who's bald, they go, oh, that man was bald. I have some very interesting students. I won't even hide. They are a group. So, for describing, short hair or long hair, you really just show, short. You describe it like that. And then for straight hair, you just kind of go straight. Just straight. You don't really make, it's almost just kind of like that. For curly hair, you do a C and you kind of go like curly and you just shake it. So it's like to show there's a lot of curls. For wavy hair, you kind of just almost do the motion. That's what I like about it when you're describing someone. You can kind of be like, oh, their hair's wavy, it's brown. It's an easy thing. What else is there? I'm trying to think of any other descriptions. Are there any other descriptions you guys can think of I didn't think of? So I thought those were some few basic main ones that will help you at least find someone if you're looking for them. Oh, excuse me. Alrighty. So, and again, a lot of times you do really, like I said, it's very visual. So you can just kind of describe, even if you don't have like the exact signs of things, using that motion of like movement, like saying she's, you can pick up on that. So, I told myself I'm not giving you more signs today. I said this was going to be it. I was going to limit. So let's practice some sentences. Because I've given you guys so many in the past that I don't want to overload you. So I'm just going to give you a few basic sentences. And if there's any sentences you guys want me to sign for you, then please let me know. I'm happy to try my very best to make them clear and good. So we've already learned nice to meet you. So nice to meet you. And then I don't think I've showed you how are you. So how are you is easy. It's the sign for how. How are you? How are you? That's the only time I've seen it where the question word comes before the sign for the question comes before the actual other signs. Is how are you? How are you? I always thought that was interesting. I was like, well, you know what? That works for me because it makes sense. How are you? How are you? Did I give you guys sentences for response? Like, I'm fine. So you would just kind of go like, I'm fine. Fine is your open hand, your thumb taps on your chest. I think I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm bad. Whatever, I'm fine. I I want to go home. So like, I want to go home. And then obviously the question words are kind of, or if you're asking like, where's the phone? Where's the bathroom? Very easy of bathroom, where? Phone, where? So, which I love. I love how they're just two signs because it gets the point across. You're not having to do this whole long sentence to make sure it makes sense. I know. I'm looking for the bathroom and where is it? Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other sentences. I do not like that. So for something like if you don't want that or you don't like is again that don't like. And a lot of times it is just the I don't like. You can use, I'll sometimes use that, which is the Y, and you just kind of slap it like that. And if that's like for being very specific. So I'm sure no one is this way to waiters and waitresses, but like, looking at them going, I don't like that. But for children who are young and do not care, they will look at their mothers and go, I don't like that. Don't like that. I was that child. Not great about it. Won't hide it. I always told my mom, it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't want that. So, are there any sentences you guys can think of? I'm trying to think of some that would be, I knew Miss Kay was going to have some.
I remember this is help.
Help. Yes.
Help. So how do I ask someone, can I help you? Is it just, can I help you? Like
you can say, I help you, or you could say need help. And it's just the need, the tapping, need help.
Help. Okay.
With the eyebrows up, because that will let them know that you're asking a yes or no question. So need help. And then any other questions? I know library is where, a lot of times what I like is that when you're asking questions, you don't have to find out how to say, where is the library? Like you just can say library where. I really like that about it. So I think it also helps for kids learning it too, that it can just pick it up. Yes, Miss Andy, were you saying something?
No, I was following your fingers.
Oh, okay. Sometimes I'm like, wait, is that a question?
She's your A student and I'm your D student. So just,
Don't worry. As the teacher, I can work with all. So I'm trying to think of more sentences because I know we're finished really early and I don't want to waste y'all's time.
do we have all of the things for all not the names of the holidays, but things you say at holidays? Did we go over that? I'm really tired today. I'm sorry. I don't even remember.
Oh, no, you're totally fine.
Not all the, just like,
Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy birthday, generic.
Yes, happy birthday.
Do we have any of that stuff? I don't know.
I don't think I have. So I can show you guys those sentences. Those are some good sentences, Miss Beth. Thank you. So for happy birthday is you do happy birthday. So birthday starts with your middle finger on your chin and comes down. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes. And so remember, if you leave the middle finger on your chin, that just means happy, you're saying happy favorite. So, because this is the sign for favorite. So my favorite ice cream is blah, blah, blah. My favorite drink is wine for Miss Beth. Oh, look, you're drinking wine. Good for you. So happy birthday. For happy Thanksgiving, it's again the happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. For Merry Christmas, I personally just use Happy Christmas because each time I've asked someone how you would say Merry Christmas, they always change it on me. And so I'm just always like, I'm just going to play it safe because I have no idea. So, I have an idea, but I just go Happy Christmas. And Christmas can be Christmas. I've seen so many different ways. I think if you're saying it in the month of December, happy this, I think people are going to go, oh, you mean Christmas. And then for Hanukkah. I believe I said Hanukkah was this. And so it's again, happy Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah. And again, I'm going to double check on that one. I always get Hanukkah mixed up with something else. And I always worry about that.
Write it down so you remember to
Yes,
check.
yes. Thank you. I was thinking about looking up if there's one for Shabbat.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't think about that. And I can't believe I didn't think about that. I've been working at a summer camp at the J summer camp for so many years. And I've never thought to show the kids how to say happy Shabbat. Oh, I'm so disappointed in myself right now. Like I've taught them, like I like camp, camp is fun. I've taught them all those things, but I can't teach them happy Shabbat. Oh, I'm so disappointed in myself. I have to remember that.
You could spell Shabbat.
That is true. That is true. I feel like that might actually that might end up being what it is. Because sometimes I get so excited for like, oh, I have a new sign to look up, and then there's not a sign. I'm like, well, that's sad. That was my excitement for the day. Let's see. And then we have happy New Year. It's very much the happy, for the word for, I don't know if I showed you the word for celebrate. So celebrate is you're going to have your X's and you're going to just spin them in circles. It's almost, I always think about having like party streamers. So celebrate. So this is celebrate. I can show you for happy graduation day. So like if you're saying happy graduation is again the happy, and then graduation is you're going to start with your G and you're just going to go, is you're just kind of almost like you're spinning them in a circle. G, graduate. And it's because school is very much on your hands. So like school, college, university, high school, middle school, elementary, all that. So graduate. And then so any others? Happy Valentine's Day. A lot of them are very much just using, happy. Is there any other sentences you guys can think of? Or any of them you're just curious of? Like, just curious, like, I'd like to know this. I say this often, so. Yes, Miss Andy?
He is my best friend, or my best friend.
Yes, so what you would do is you would point, or if you're talking about someone that's not there, you would finger spell their name and go, my best friend. And I always go, best. Like, I make it dramatic. Like, I'm showing she's the top dog. She's the best one. Like, if I'm going to say anybody's my bestie, she is. I make it dramatic. I'm like, best friend. So it's that best friend is mine. And so that's how you would say, like, she's my best friend. Let's see. Any other sentences? Because everyone I keep thinking of, especially because I'm looking around my room, I'm like, lights off, please. They're again the same ones that you would say. That's the only thing that gets me when you're trying to think of sentences, is especially simple sentences, is that we kind of already went through them. They're very, you pick it up and you figure it out. You can figure it out yourself. Let's see. And I described to you, I did explain how for movie titles, and I don't think I said for book titles, but also book titles, if you're describing a book or a movie, you would do title and then finger spell the word. And so, which I always hate because I always end up having the longest titles for things. So I sometimes just, I'm like, I'll just show a picture. I'm like, is this okay? I don't want to finger spell it all. I can't finger spell it all. So that's just me being, oh, I didn't show you the sign for lazy. Oh, that's perfect timing. So lazy is you're going to have the L and you just put it on your shoulder, across your chest, like lazy. I'm lazy. She's lazy. One of my kids today, I told him to sit down in his chair and he looked at me and said, I'm lazy. And I looked and was like, but you're too, and I was like, you're lazy. You're too lazy to sit down. So you just want to stand. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And he just looked at me like, and just sat down like, I don't know. I was like, it's fine. I just thought that was strange to say you're too lazy to sit down. So lazy. Trying to think. And I've shown y'all have, and a lot of times if you're saying like I had school today and it was already finished. You would again, it would do the like I had school finished.
Had school
Finish. So you always add that. I don't know if I showed y'all finish. Finish. Finish is very important because that's what shows that past tense.
Like
finish. Yes, finish.
Okay. How would you, is there a way to say we're almost finished or we're almost closed?
So
it's like soon. Okay.
It's you just do the, it's like it's you're doing the 9, tapping your chin, going soon, finish, soon,
Gotcha.
finish. Mm-hmm. But finish, I can't believe. See, this is what happens. Is I sit here and I think, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's actual signs you need to know. Finish is a big one because that's the way that most of the times you can describe something that's happened that's already done. Yes, because they don't have a different sign for like I went walking today. I walk, but if I said like I walked yesterday, you can say yesterday I walked because that'll show them too. But you could also be like, if you did it this morning, I walked, finished, it's finished. And some people will kind of go like finish, like they kind of go a little faster like this, just kind of aside, but finished. For I'll say for future stuff, like a lot of times what you do is you would say almost like this is will. Like I will be going to the store. It's will. So you have your whole just hand kind of resting and you just kind of push it forward. It's like you're jumping in the future. So go to the store tomorrow, I will. And they kind of use that. I'm sorry if you can hear a little yappy dog. I don't know what she's barking at, but she's barking right now. And there I hear my mom trying to her right now. So, but yes, so will. And that's for describing anything that happens kind of in the future. And this isn't something really super like hard to remember because it's kind of a good thought that you can have is so anything that happens present is going to happen right around here, like in this kind of square. Future is going to be more outward, like forward. And then in the past is in the back. And so that's kind of how you differentiate what's happened. And that was how I kind of went for last year, this year, next year. It's last year, this year, and then next year. And what's one of my favorite things about ASL is that you really can be like, it's easy to remember because where are you right now? Well, you're in the present. If you're walking forwards, you're walking towards the future. And you're not walking backwards because it's already happened. It's in the past. So there's that. Let's see, what else is there? I'm trying to think of more. I'm just having one of those days where nothing is just, I'm just having to think.
Well, let me mention something while you're thinking. Is I was downstairs this morning, just kind of looking through the new books before we opened, and I realized we got 2 new American Sign Language books. And I don't think either of them were dictionaries. I think they're, I didn't get a chance to look at them, quite honestly. But if any of y'all are interested, when you come in, the new books are on the main floor. And all of the language books are in the 400s. So if you go to the nonfiction section and look in the 400s, like right there on the first floor, you'll see those 2 ASL books. And then I'm turning in the workbook that I showed, I think 3 weeks ago. And once I started looking through it, it's really much more like, I don't know why they call it a workbook. There's nothing to actually, it's not like you're writing, you know, but it shows, it's almost like Gillian in time lapse. Like it'll say a sentence and it'll do like the different motions that you're doing.
Yes.
So, I mean, it was kind of neat to look through, but it was also kind of really strange, specific things. Like there happened to be like one on meteorology, like hail, rain, you know, I mean, it was just like really specific random things, but it was neat and it's really well put together. It's really good photographs. And so if y'all get a chance, you know, check out the those new books. That's my library PSA.
Well, you just reminded me that we haven't talked about weather, and I might say I'll save that for next week. I saw Miss Beth going, oh no, Miss Katie, why you do this to us?
Now we'll say if there's this few people here this week, there's going to be fewer next week unless none of us is here because it's Memorial Day. I mean, everybody knows leaving town like Monday, Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
So weather sounds good. Where were you? What was it? 3 weeks ago, we had that horrible torrential rain that washed everybody away. Yeah, we need to learn weather in Alabama for sure.
Yes, because we can't trust Alabama weather. I love.
Of course, no matter where you live, they say the same thing. They say the same thing, whether you're in Alaska or New
Minnesota
Zealand.
weather.
Yeah, exactly.
I have some friends from Chicago that moved here to go to Alabama, and we were talking about the weather here, and it's so funny because so there's a group of us. It's my friend who's from Chicago and her fiance. They both came down. They both go to Alabama. Then it's my other friend who's been here in Alabama, and then me. And we all four were sitting there talking about Alabama weather. And my friend Lily and we were talking about, she's the one that's grown up here too. We were talking about how, wow, it gets, I feel like I think this was like in January because we were FaceTiming. And we were talking about how it's going to get so cold here. It's going to be in 30. It's going to be in the 30s.
It's going to be 40 degrees.
Yeah. And we were talking about this. And
it's cold.
My friend and her fiance just stared at us the entire, that's cold. And I was like, yes, that's freezing here. And they were like, no, that's not cold. And it was funny because we also talked about how when schools would close, because my friend and her fiance would say that their schools wouldn't close unless what their superintendent would do is their superintendent would get in their car, drive, stop, and if they thought it was too cold, that if their car, if a student got stranded and could freeze to death, that's when it was too cold. Not looked at temperatures, looked at if it is too cold to stay in your car and if you get stuck, then you're not coming to school. And I remember my friend Lily and our jaws just went, what? How could you even let it get that far? Because we were talking about the snowpocalypse that happened in 2012. Because I was a freshman in high school, freshman or sophomore in high school, somewhere right there. And I will never forget that day because the transition that day from being where, oh my gosh, we're having a snow day, we're getting out of school early, yes, to, oh no, we can't get on the buses. Okay, gotta call mom. Okay, it's fine. Mom and dad can get us. Okay, mom and dad both can't get us. Oh no, do I have to stay at the school? Oh no. And that change. And we were telling them about it, and they're like, how many inches of snow did you get? And we're like 2 or 3. And they're like, wait, how many? 23 or 2 or 3? And I was like, we were like 2 to 3, and they're like, that's nothing. And I was like, well, that is something here. And it was such a funny story, funny time to talk, because they were just so shocked with some of our ways here. And I'm like, well,
you have to understand that ice is our issue. It's really not snow, it's ice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the issue that we have. So
we don't.
And I've lived all those places, and I hate the heat here, but I'd rather have our winters. So anyway.
Hey, Gillian?
Yes.
Henry asked if he could ask you how to say a sentence.
Okay, Henry.
I think it will be a useful one for him at least. Come over here. Take that off. He's got his headphones. He's gonna come over here with his headphones and talk to you with them on. No. Okay.
Henry, you're on camera. Pretend you're on TV. Hi.
So what's your sentence, Henry?
Okay. You have a mouthful of grapes. Okay, tell Gillian what you want to know.
I want to learn how to say go to school.
Okay, so what you do is you go, I go to school. So you don't have to say the two. You just go, I go to school. I go to school.
Yeah.
Good job, Henry.
Now when I see Miss Copes, I'm going to say, I'm
go to school. Yeah.
Yes, good, Henry. Oh, you're teaching me what is that?
I'm going to say, I'm
Yes.
out.
I didn't hear what he said.
Checking out.
Going
Checking out.
school.
Oh, checking out of school.
I would show Henry this one, but I totally think he's bad. It'll be like you saying, I'm escaping. I'm.
Oh, that's hilarious.
My favorite ones to use to like jokingly with my coworkers, and this is at camp or at work, is I'll look at the end of the day and I'm like, I'm leaving, I'm running. I need the break. So, but yes, I always think that was just a fun one anyways, because it literally looks like someone is just, it makes me think of the cartoons as a kid, like I am just zooming. So
Yeah.
Funny what Zoom means nowadays, isn't it?
oh, I know. It's so crazy.
I'm gonna sign off in a second. Y'all may stay on forever, but I'm exhausted. I have one thing to mention. I would never, I'm the kind of person that mutes commercials. I've been doing it for 40 years. I just hate commercials. But for some reason, I've watched this commercial in the last 2 weeks and I wouldn't have even understood it if you hadn't told us on the first night. You know what I'm talking about? It's for Google and it's telling about, he's a CODA, a child of deaf adult. And I was like, there's a reason I listened to this commercial. That's you. And that's interesting. I would have never listened to commercials.
That's awesome.
I've seen 2 commercials for I think it's Google. The Google is very much, I know one is Google, I'm not sure what the other one, but they're very much about trying to be inclusive. And I just sit there and I can't even hide that, like, because I'm a very emotional person.
You're
so like, I feel very strong. And I just start being like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see that. Oh, that was so great. But like,
it's just sweet. So anyway, I would just say that.
Thank you.
Well, I just love it showing the technology, because technology, it's crazy. How far technology's come in
Your lifetime. Your lifetime. Imagine my lifetime. 65 years. Can you imagine? I mean, hello. Anyway.
I mean, it's just, but it's so insane talking to some of my coworkers who have grown up and they use these technologies as they were kids and they are deaf. And you kind of like, wow, because I'll tell you this, and then I'll let you be. But one of the things I think is the craziest is that when people back then, when deaf people would gather and talk, it was very, very important to make sure if you were leaving, you said you were leaving to everybody. Like you let everyone know I'm going. Because the whole big thing with it was a lot of times they wouldn't know when the next time they see each other because they couldn't call and say, hey, I'm coming over.
That's true.
And so, and they also would very much have to, I have a couple of, not friends, but a couple of stories my professor like showed us that were just, it was kind of funny, but they were saying how these kids would just, when it would say, when my parents are saying goodbye, like when our parents are saying goodbye, it's almost like how it is in the South when, okay, my mom and her mom are about to say goodbye, or my mom and her sister are going to say goodbye. It's another 20 minutes of conversation before leaving. And this is what people who are deaf would say, is that that's what their parents would do too, is that, and it's because it's that mindset of, I don't know when the next time I'll see you again. So I need you to know everything I want to tell you before you leave. And I was like, oh my goodness. And my brain kept thinking, I remember in class going, why couldn't they just like text or, do, like email? And then I was like, wait a minute. This is like the 70s. Like they don't text, like
honey, we didn't even have but like 2 phones in the whole house that were plugged to a wall in the 70s. And you actually dialed them.
Yes. You'd be proud to know I do know how to use a dial phone. Or the dial phone. That I do know how to use that. My grandmother had one for fun, and I used to, well, not for fun. She had it.
I feel so old right now.
And I used to use it. And my parents were like, "We bet you don't even know how to use this." And I looked at them all proud, and I showed them. I was like, "I just called you." I was so sassy about it. So
you're adorable. Well, thank you, Gillian and Katie and Andy. I'll be thinking about. I wrote down Karen and Jake and the kids.
Thank you.
Yes, I did too. When we have
really
family
will.
dinner, we all say our prayers, so we'll keep them in our prayers for sure.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
I mean, it's been a crazy week. I hope it doesn't last much longer.
Mhm.
From your mouth to God's ears.
All
That's
right.
what we always say, from your mouth to God's ears.
There you go. All right.
Bye,
Well,
everybody.
thank you, guys.
It was an awesome
Thank
class.
you. It really was
See you
fun. I
later.
love the intimacy of tonight. It was great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julian. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. I'll see you next week.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.